Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dream Life Loading podcast. I'm Skye.
And I'm Susan. How are you today, Skye?
I'm good, Susan. We had a really busy weekend, which I feel like our weekends have been pretty low key for like the past couple months. So it was nice to have a busy weekend, but now I'm like paying for it and I'm tired today. But that's very much okay. How are you?
I'm good. Same situation. We spent a lot of time on the lake, so I got some sun. And you know that like you've been outside, you've been on the water all day, you come in and you're just exhausted. I've had that. So like yesterday, as you know, I'm not a napper. I usually wake up violently angry from naps. We got home yesterday around 2 and I was like, I'm going to bed. Like I couldn't keep my eyes open and I slept for an hour and a half and then I got up and then we had a great afternoon, but I was like I was beat. Like I needed to sleep. So I did get up this morning. I went to the gym and I'm glad I did because it gave me more of a routine, even though I'm off today, which is great because then once we're done recording, I'm going to go and peel wallpaper till my heart's content.
It's perfect. It seems like it was a good balance weekend. I think the challenge too, like with yesterday being the movie day, it seemed like across the board everyone was like so excited to have that like intense
Yes.
rest day. So I'm really happy that that worked out.
And it was really great because I think it was raining everywhere. It felt like it was just like gloomy. And that's what we did. We cuddled up and we watched TV, but we watched Suits
I
all
was
afternoon.
shocked to see that everyone across like many different states were dealing with rain yesterday. And ironically, it was beautiful here, but we were so tired from Saturday that we were like, the movie's gonna happen no matter what the weather looks like for us.
Yep.
It was perfect. It seemed like everyone was really excited about it, which I think with an activity like that, if it's beautiful and you want to be outside and then you're like
Yeah,
dating being inside. So I was glad it worked out. It always does.
it does. It always does. So let's talk about my wedding. That's the topic today. We're going to talk about, well, weddings in general, but specifically my wedding.
And I think
Um,
the whole "it always works out" is a perfect way to go right into talking about
yes.
planning for it. Is that like
Yes.
you're the one you can talk all about this with the stress
So,
behind the
as
scenes.
you guys can assume, Sky was in my wedding. So, she was there. She witnessed all the things. I feel like leading up to the wedding, we did so much. Well, my whole thing was I didn't want to answer a single question on my wedding. I wanted to just be able to enjoy the day. I wanted to plan so that I didn't have to deal with it that day. And I think we did a really good job of that. Like we had our bases covered pretty much. And I was just so grateful that we had, and you helped a lot with like, I had sent you so I built the wedding binder and I was like, we'll give 3 of them out. So we had one that like the bridesmaids shared. We gave one to the photographer and we gave one to the person running the venue because we didn't have a wedding planner.
Mhm.
Chris and I planned the wedding and then we just did what we could. And that binder, the person at the wedding venue was like, I've never had a binder and I think I'm going to request one from every couple now because this is just too good. Like it had all of the answers to anything she needed. And after the wedding the next morning, she was like, I used that like a lot yesterday because there were some things that we just either hadn't discussed or we assumed we knew. She's like, but that thing just kept us on track and she absolutely loved it.
Coming from background, I feel like is the wrong word, but my whole major was in event planning. So I worked
Yeah.
so many weddings over like the previous 2 years. And when you told me you weren't having a wedding planner, my first thought was obviously if that's what I'm going to school for, I'm going to push for a wedding planner. But I was like, okay, like what's the plan if you don't have one? Like I was like, who's going to run this thing if there's no
Yeah.
hired to run it? That binder was your wedding planner, and it's amazing that it
Yeah.
actually really did that. Like there was never a moment where it was like we need someone to do this, like oh someone forgot about this, or like yes you could have had a wedding planner for sure, but you did not need it, like at
Yeah.
all. The way you organized it with this binder was incredible, and you delegated really well, which is something like having worked weddings, brides that are unable to delegate are the ones that are going to crumble. Like you have to just like give in,
Yeah.
let people help you, which you were so good at. And the binder, it was like any question, like anything. It was like, oh, just flip, it's right there. It was
Yep.
it was your wedding planner, your book, like literally
Yeah.
your wedding. It was
It
incredible.
was everything in my brain related to the wedding put on paper so other people had it. I found, honestly, I have it sitting right here, but I found that the most useful pages that like we definitely used, and I still know that because they're literally sticky with hairspray, was the pictures of the hair. And it was so nice because no one had to like have their phone out. Like we just we had pictures of it, and it was ready to go. And that was honestly one of my favorite parts. And even Michaela, our hairdresser, she was like, I love this. Like, this is great.
And it made, as a bridesmaid, it made, obviously, I felt very much included in your wedding, obviously. But I think it was
Yeah.
really sweet that it was like, here's this huge binder. And like the bride took the time to include us. Like, she doesn't just care about her hair, you know, like we have our pictures. And
Yeah.
I think you very easily could have just had a picture of your hair and been like, girls, like, show her your pic, you know, like it's just those
Yeah.
details that then makes your bridesmaids want to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there for you, but like having this binder set up the way you did, it made everyone want to use it and everyone want to help and like grab for pages and grab for contacts and whatever it was. It
Yep.
just it made it like everyone was a part of it in the best
Yep. And it covered our asses because the morning of, I was like, you're nervous. Like, I wasn't nervous about marrying Chris, but just like, there's a lot going on. Like, we had been up until friggin' midnight, 1 a.m. the night before. And then we got up at 6 a.m. because that's when hair and makeup started. Like, it's just a busy
the day.
day.
Yeah.
And we had gotten stuff for like a charcuterie board, and we had put it in the freezers, and it had like a list of what was included. And I totally forgot about, because we had someone separate coming to set that up, because our catering company offered to set it up, but it was going to be like an absorbent amount of money for them to just do like cheese and crackers. And we're like, we can buy all the supplies and just pay someone local to set it up while we're at the ceremony. I was supposed to see her before we left for the ceremony, but somehow our paths never crossed. And that binder literally set her up because she knew where to find everything. The wedding director or the venue director was like, here, come with me. I already have all the details on this. Like, here's your stuff. Have fun. And it all worked out. And I never even saw it. I don't even know if we have pictures of it, but I
I
heard it was
didn't
good.
either, weirdly enough.
No, it was demolished by the time we got there from photos.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. But no, I remember she came up, the venue manager came up to me after and
Yeah.
explained to me what happened. And I was like, oh my God, I had no, like, I'm so sorry. You know, she was like, no, it's totally fine. Like the binder saved the day. And like, it was all,
Yeah.
I was like, great. Like Susan, like you were on top of it even when you were doing something else because you had planned ahead,
Yeah.
which is the whole point.
Yep. Absolutely. And the wedding binder actually like really saved the day when we had our biggest malfunction of the day that we couldn't prevent happening. But the speakers blew up. We were like, I don't even know. We weren't even that far. The lights had just turned off. We had danced to maybe 2 or 3 songs, and mid song, the speakers just like cut out. And we are like, oh, like what's going on? And they did not come back. They were out for the count. Luckily, we had Bluetooth speakers from getting ready, and then the singer from the ceremony was like, I have my speaker, like, I'll go get that, we'll hook it up. So we had both of those speakers, but I had a printed list of every song we needed, and I made a playlist of said song. So we literally hooked my phone up, and I like DJ'd my wedding for a good 2.5, 3 hours before we got new speakers.
Yeah.
Like, but the binder, I wasn't even worried about it. Like, I was a little irritated that it had happened in the first place, but that was like, it didn't matter because we had a backup plan. We had no music for maybe 4 or 5 minutes before we got everything set up.
Tops. Yep. And it was one of those things where it was like, I had written, I didn't really take much notes for this episode, but I had written down like, just accept that not every detail is going to go according to plan.
No,
But if you include enough details, then most of them will go according to plan. And I think this is a perfect
yeah,
example of that, is that it did not go. The speakers was completely out of your control. You had literally nothing to do with that. The speakers blew, and I was like, okay, that detail didn't work. But because I put all these details into this binder, I know all the
yeah,
songs I want to be played all night. We'll make it work. And it was
yeah,
like a perfect story to leave your wedding with because it just showed that that wedding was about love and that's what mattered. And it was like, we can
yeah,
dance to these speakers and like, or we can dance to the Bluetooth speakers in the middle of the floor. And it was perfect. You know, like everyone came together, everyone showed up and wanted to be there for you guys and make it work. And it was perfect, I think. I think it really was
yeah.
so sweet.
No, it was. It was so good. And we just rolled with the punches. And I think Dana might have asked me a question. I think she asked, do you want the fans turned on? And I was like, I don't care. Whatever you think is best. Like I really don't care. The only other thing we couldn't control that day was the wind. Do you remember how windy it was?
Yes.
Like So,
So many
so win.
photos, like, because all of us had like little
The
like
little,
pieces
yeah,
out of our hair. So many. I don't know how Becca like. I mean, you also had like the best vendors for a wedding. Like you had the
yes,
best people working with for you with you, and so like your photographer, everyone was like very much like wanting to make it work because of how organized you were. Like coming
yep,
from the other side of things, if you have a bride that's rude or isn't organized and like is a mess, it's hard to like keep her together and then want to keep
yep,
everything else together. But because you were so kind and like, here's like, here, Becca, here's this folder with all the photos I want of all
yep,
different combinations. She was like, great, I got this. And then she can do her job to the best ability. You know what I mean? Like, if
yeah.
everyone has the right tools, everything can be executed
And
perfectly.
then like trusting them, because like hiring the right people that you can trust, because when we first got engaged, I'm not even kidding, I booked Becca the week we got engaged, because I was like, I want her and she's going to book up fast. So we were very fortunate to get her when we did. And there were times where we had put stuff in the binder of different shots and she's like, hey, do you want to do this? And I was like, no, like
Yep.
I'm fine. I don't need it. Like it, and that's the thing. Like you're gonna have all these things. You're gonna be like, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Like TikToks. That was a perfect example. I had like a list of 100 TikToks that you and I and the girls were gonna make, and I think we made like 3 or 4,
Yep.
and I was totally happy with that. I was like, I don't need more, because I was like, I don't like TikTok for me at the time was work. So I was like, I don't want to be working today. Like I want like we had the cute fun ones, and I love those. My favorite one, my favorite video from that day, other than the ones of Chris and I, are is when we did our first look with you guys. And it's not even a TikTok, it's an actual video on my phone.
Yep.
And I love that video.
Yeah, I agree. No, but you're right about trusting people. And I think that was one of my
Mhm.
favorite things about you as a bride was that you were just like, it's my wedding day. I really don't care. Like I'm trusting
Yeah, I don't care.
whatever your role is, I'm trusting you to do it. You know, like you wanted
Yep.
to be so hands off, which is like as like the person working the wedding, that's all you want of a bride. Like go enjoy your day and let us do our job. And you did that.
Yep.
So, and it just made it like the speaker thing happened and you were like, all right, like someone's gonna
Whatever.
figure it out. Right. It was like,
Yeah.
we
That
can.
could have been like a huge meltdown. Like that could have
Oh yeah.
been like it could have gone a very different way. But I was like, you know what? Like I planned. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can control. And why would you let one of the biggest days of your life be ruined by something that you didn't even, do? And I honestly, I think relinquishing control with my wedding has carried over since, because I used to be a control freak. Like, well, I still kind of am, but I need to just be doing everything. And I think the binder taught me that I can prepare and plan. It's almost like substitute teaching, or leaving, if you're a teacher, leaving plans for a sub and just making sure they have all the information. And I think going through life like that, like if you can communicate clearly and give everyone everything they need, like you've done your job, move on.
I think you and I use a lot of those skills as business partners now.
Yes.
Where it's
Yes.
like, okay, this has been my thing, but now I'm either passing the baton to you or I'm sharing the baton with you, and I need you
Hmm.
caught up to speed with me. But then it's like we do this all the time actually, where you have to like, yes, this was yours to begin with, or like this wedding, yes, this was yours, and you had to let go of certain things in order for it to
Yep.
be executed properly. And that's a huge thing to be able to let go of that. And we do that all the time. It's like, who's the right person to handle this one? And it's like, okay, like let go,
Yep.
let them do what you know that they're capable of doing, you know, and
Yep.
the trust.
Especially with being 6 hours apart, sometimes it's not even about the skill set. Sometimes it's just about who's there and
Yep.
willing and ready to do it. And I
And it's
think
the
that
full
that's
trust.
something.
It's like I can put my head
Exactly.
down at night and know that like it's gonna be perfectly fine. Like whatever happens in these 8 hours that I'm asleep, Susan's got it. And then she knows
Yep.
that when I'm up, I got it all morning. Like we're good.
Yep. Which is kind of funny, because realistically, if you think about it, like our working hours are so much longer than a normal business is, because you're up at least 4 hours before I am. And then I stay up a little bit later than you do. So it really works out great.
It does. And I mean, yes, I'm up earlier than you, but I think the way we've been able to design our schedules is that we usually
Yeah.
are working pretty similar
Yes.
hours, which is like that is very much credited to you being up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But it really does work out because it's like, okay, on either side, even if we're not working, we still got it covered. And then in the
Yeah.
middle, we're like together, you know, like so we always have
Yeah.
it covered, which exactly with your wedding, no matter where you were that whole day, you knew that there were six different people throughout that venue that had you covered.
Yes, exactly. And it was because they had my brain in their hands. Like, and I think that's just a big, and I think everyone who had the binder at one point or another that day, I think they appreciated that I was sharing what I already, like my expectations and what I knew. And I was like, if it's not in the binder, just make a decision. Like, I don't want to have to make decisions that day. And they did, like, they followed through. They could understand me enough through what I'd given them to be able to make decisions for me. Like, I think there was something with the caterer. I don't even know what the situation was. Dana just took care of it because she just knew what I would have wanted, and that was huge.
Yes. How about you go through, since you have it right there, I know that the version that is now for sale has changed a little bit because this is obviously the original,
Right.
but I think let's give people an idea about like this is what you can expect from,
Yeah.
let's say you go on like on Etsy, you buy this. It is, so we're selling it as a Canva template.
Yep.
So someone would buy it on Etsy, get the PDF to then click to access the Canva template. This thing is, because it's just a Canva template, fully customizable. Like it's there exactly how Susan had hers. You can change out photos, you can change out like
Words,
colors,
anything.
words, literally anything. And like I know yours, it says in the template DJ, but if yours is a band, switch it out. Like it literally does not matter. You can change anything about this, which is
Yeah.
so cool because it literally any wedding ever could use this.
And you can add and take out pages,
Yep.
which is nice too. Like, if there's something in there, like I didn't have a florist, you can
Yep.
add, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and the other thing was that this is what I want. Like, I would have bought this. That's why I made it, because I couldn't find anything. I found wedding planners, but I wasn't looking. The wedding was planned. I just needed a place to put all of my information. And I think that's the key here, is that this is just anything anyone's going to need to know that day. This isn't some place for you to start wedding planning. Maybe one day we do create something like that. But for now, this is, you already
It.
have your information. It'll probably, I bet this would take, now that you have the template and you're not making it. If you sat down with your bridesmaids, I bet it takes you an hour. Just have one of your bridesmaids fill it out while they ask you the questions, because you have all that information in your head. You know the caterer, your parents' contact info, that sort of thing.
I almost start
Um,
looking at this as like, I think if you even have a wedding planner, this binder is still helpful because like
yeah,
you have your planner that's working with you for the year, however many months leading up to your wedding. But then day of, you're going to have your planner. And then probably also the planner is going to bring at least one or two assistants, which is what I was, where I
yeah,
was literally just called a day of assistant. So I knew nothing about the wedding. A day before, I was emailed like what time to show up, the bride and groom's names, and like very, very basic details like that. And then I would show up and be expected to like jump in and make it happen. Something like that would be perfect to make it, like, so even if you have
yeah,
a planner, your binder's kind of acting as your day of assistant, where it's like, here's everything, go and make it happen. So,
yeah,
and I think that's the nice thing too, is that you could even buy from someone else on Etsy a planner template and do it all that,
yeah,
and then come in and be like, okay, here's the finalized day, like day of copy. This is like the holy Bible of my wedding.
yep,
So
yep.
I think it's great.
So we have rooms booked, and like we had said, like the pictures are different, but rooms booked, who was staying, because our rooms, it wasn't like a room block where they called the hotel and they figured it out. I scheduled who was in each room for how many days. So we left gifts for our on-site guests. And that was super cute. So we just had instructions on that, like what to do with it. Locations, contact info. This was actually huge because it's not just the basic like maid of honor or whatever, because the maid of honor is usually with the bride. So we did family members and all of our, actually I didn't put a single groomsman because they weren't going to be of much help. But I had all the bridesmaids, my sisters, every vendor who helped that day. And then I also had another person who actually we didn't have to use, but I call her my Stephanie. She's someone that I'd worked with at the high school before I quit teaching, and she was just my designated It literally says, call her if you have any questions or anyone needs to make a decision. She can make decisions on our behalf for anything. And that was actually something that the wedding venue manager was like, that is so smart. She's like, I've never seen a bride do this. Have someone who's not part of the party. Because when you're a bridesmaid, like you have a gazillion things going on already. Not to mention, then you're in the spotlight. Like you have to get ready yourself. Like there's just a lot going on. So it's nice to have someone. First of all, she volunteered and was willing to do that for us, which is like amazing. But it was just like ease of mind. Like if anything did go terribly wrong, there was someone there on site but not in the middle of it. And that was huge. So if you have like a cousin or someone who is not in the wedding, but still going to be there, who you trust to make those decisions, that's huge.
Yeah, that was so smart. I remember you telling me that one. And I was like, that's brilliant.
And then, yeah, that was so helpful. And then we have timeline. So we have bride timeline, groom timeline, like overall timeline. That I didn't reference as much, but I know that
We did.
vendors were looking at that a lot. Yeah. I mean, I was just kind of going with the
Yeah.
flow. People
Well,
tell
we
me where to go and I was
pushing it.
there.
It's
But
like, all right, Susan, you got 30 minutes and then we're doing this. Like, you shouldn't have had to look at that. Like, we all had it
no,
covered.
yeah.
Yeah.
Coffee orders. I was actually, when I was looking through this, the coffee orders page is gone because someone took it to
Oh,
Starbucks, which was perfect. That's what it was designed to be. So, and we all had coffee that morning, which was excellent. And then hair and makeup, which we went over, like pictures of everyone's hair, what they wanted. Um, and that was from being in weddings. And I know that like you're putting on a wedding, you want it to have a certain look. But for me, letting my bridesmaids do whatever they wanted with their hair and makeup was honestly the biggest thing for me because I've been in weddings where I was not allowed to do what I wanted to do with my hair and makeup. And it is so hard to stand in front of a bunch of strangers you might not even know and not feel good. Like I just wanted everyone to feel comfortable and good and I wanted them to feel pretty. Like I'm stuffing you in a dress you might not even like the color of, and you're going to stand up there by me. Like, I want you to feel good about yourself. So that was huge for me. So I think that's why I put as much time into that too, because I remember what it felt like to be having my hair stuffed in something I didn't want and then I didn't feel good.
It was huge for us too, because I remember you were like, this is what I'm doing with my hair, so probably don't do exactly this, but other than that, go crazy. And we all
Yeah.
kind of coordinated by kind of we all had a vision that ended up being pretty, most of us at least, it was a pretty similar vision, which worked out. But
Yeah.
if one of us wanted our hair down, you were not going to say no. You know, it was very much,
No.
what do you feel best in? And I know like my makeup was very different from one of the other bridesmaids just because I wanted something like super dramatic because I was like, this will be fun, you know, but it was also like,
Yeah.
if I wasn't comfortable wearing makeup, you were not going to make me wear
No.
anything I did not want to wear, which that was because, like you said, like we're taking photos with you all day, we're here for you all day. And by you
Hmm.
giving that freedom to be like, do what's going to work for you, even though it's your day, like you like passing the reins in that way was like, now it's fun for us. You know, like we're paying for this hair and makeup. Like we might as well do
Yeah.
what we feel good in. And I loved that. It made it meant so much to all of us. I know that.
I don't know. It just made me feel, like you said, like honestly giving you guys back control. Like I didn't want, I don't know. It was important to me that you guys had control over you
And we
and you felt
probably
good.
looked a lot happier in the photos than we might have if we weren't
Again.
doing things we didn't like.
So we went over the music pages, and that was honestly, I had a very strict order of events, which I'm glad I did. This part was actually my favorite part that I didn't realize was my favorite part. So I had an inventory page, and this listed everything that was ours that we brought to the venue. And I had actually set this up because I got sick the week up going into our wedding. I had a head cold. I couldn't hang. So Chris actually set up the entire venue by himself. And this list was kind of so that he knew what he needed to bring and what he had. But this served so great because the next morning we woke up late. And when we came downstairs, everything was picked up. You guys, like my bridesmaids, picked stuff up. My in laws helped pick stuff up. Everything was packed and ready for us to go. And that's because they had a list and everyone knew what was ours and what was the venues. So that was huge. And I honestly didn't think twice putting that in. I thought it was just going to kind of sit there, but it ended up being really, really helpful.
That's one of those things that every wedding I've worked, it's required that the bride and groom have to come in and be like, this is like, because you don't want, everything's gonna get misplaced. Like everyone's
Yeah.
trying to help out at the end of the night and get stuff out. So if there's like, okay, bride and groom stuff, venue stuff, this. So
Yeah.
like you were on top of it. And I was like, how did she know all this? Like it was brilliant. And that was like very, very helpful for everyone because everyone was able to help. It wasn't like, oh, I don't know where stuff goes. I don't want to help. It was like, no, you actually do. Use the binder.
Yeah. Yep, the binder was great. For music, I had an order of events, which is great that I did, granted what had happened, but I had like literally every single thing to do. So like what time we were coming in, what we were being announced as, walking into our first song, the order of speeches, and then I actually set up the tables and how they were announced for the buffet because no one wants to be at table 18 and think they're going to eat last. So I actually had the last table go with us, and then I just about like grouped the two tables together very randomly, but it was better. And everyone said that they were surprised when they got called. Like it was refreshing instead of going up like in order.
Yeah.
And then all of our music songs,
Hmm.
catering info, that's pretty self-explanatory. Charcuterie board, we already talked about that. Oh, cocktail hour. So we weren't even there for more than half a cocktail hour. So having just what was expected during that time. Like we were only serving beers and wines then, and just what we wanted. And then we had signature drinks, so we had little signs everywhere that were those for us. Detail info. This was great for Chris when he was setting up our tables because I was sick. So he knew exactly what to put on those, and that was the venue had set them up by Wednesday, and they're like, "Can you come in and just make sure that this is right? We followed your list, but just confirm." So that was great too.
Yeah.
And then we had all of our seating arrangements, which really came out good because some people showed up that we weren't expecting, or some people brought people that weren't invited, which was fine. It worked out in the long run because Dana had a full list of all the tables and didn't have to go to the seating chart, which was on a mirror. It's kind of hard to see. And she was able to, when actually she kept hers, but she had showed me and she had
Yeah.
wrote names in and just shuffled and added chairs and stuff. Thank God, because she was on it. And then just the list of shots for the photographer to have.
Mhm.
And that wraps the binder up.
It was, I can't even talk more about it. Like it was great. And I genuinely believe like if you're getting married or you know someone that's getting married, I don't see how this wouldn't help you. Like if you're planning on having
No.
a wedding ceremony, like you're gonna want one place where everything is.
This is my new go-to wedding gift, like for bridal
Oh,
showers. Because I'm gonna get like a cute basket, a cute binder, the sheet protectors because I love sheet protectors, and then I will get them the PDF. So I have to figure out how we can make that giveable because like when you buy it on Etsy, it's a download. So I'm not sure how to work out the logistics of that, but once I do, I'll let the internet know because I
yeah,
think that that is a super sweet gift and super super helpful.
yeah, that's sweet. I like that idea. Favorites?
Favorite?
Yes. We'll go quick. I know we're short on time. My physical favorite this week is my Rare Beauty. After obsessing over Rare Beauty since literally December, I finally caved and ordered, and I got a blush, a highlight, and the mascara. And I gotta say, I could not be more obsessed, and I should have ordered in December. And Selena knows what she's doing. She really, really does. And I want all the blushes now that I've bought one.
So my physical favorite is reading. Thanks to Skye, I knew that it was Stuff Your Kindle Day on Friday, and I stuffed her good. So I read two books in the last 2 days because I'm hooked, and I'm just very excited to be reading and on my Kindle again. So The Silent Patient, amazing,
I
and
told you,
now
right?
it's so good.
Yep.
And then I'm reading. I'm almost done with Lessons in Chemistry, which is enraging, but good. So I like that.
Good to know. I haven't read that one, but it's always been something I like pops up on TikTok and stuff. So I'll add it to my list. But the
Your
silent,
inner feminist is going to die. Like it that's where you
all
just
right.
become so enraged. I think that's half of my problem this weekend was I had feminine rage because of that book.
But no, the silent patient, like that book
So
is
good.
incredible.
Yeah.
My mantra, this like I was scrolling through Pinterest and I saw this and I kind of like stopped and went and scrolled back to it and I was like, that's interesting. So it was you can choose to either be bitter or be better. And this is like you always say like you can choose your mindset, and this I really liked because like you can use this in so many different situations, like with people, with work, with whatever. Like you can choose to be bitter about it, or you can choose to rise above it and be better. So that's my mantra.
I was torn between that one and the one I chose. That's
No
too
way.
funny. I'm not even kidding. My quote is BYOB, and it's be your own boss. And
Ooh.
I was like, oh, I've never heard that one before. And I was like, just taking control of your life, and you're in charge, whether you're actually your boss at work or not. Like, you are in charge, and you just need to harness and understand that control.
Perfect way to wrap it up.
Love it.
Thank you for watching.